sometimes when a tragedy happens, we see it on the news and it hurts, it's painful, but it's somewhere the other side of the world, or at least a different city or a town. But when it happens next door to you, when it happens so close that you find your own teacher at school has been murdered in a terrorist-related incident, that is painful. That's when it hits home. And that's when the church also has a role to play. And part of that role is with Pastor Marcel, because quite a few of the children at your church come to this school, the Holt School in Wokingham. And today they're crying out to you. How do you respond to a child who's lost their teacher, who's in sudden shock and mourning?
It is tragic that it happens in the first place. However, when it affects our own, it's very personal. So our hearts go out to our young people who are attending this school. Some of them have been affected directly because James Furlong was their immediate teacher. Others know him from school. Some of them are crying, some of them are very quiet, and it's understandable. Emotions are all over. Our hearts go out to our young people. We are here to speak with them. Our youth department has reached out personally to each one of the students. We as pastors, we are here to go and help any one of them who would like to talk through things. We have a counselor on standby for anybody who would like to receive a one-on-one with a professional. But something like this doesn't only affect us emotionally, it affects us physically. We respond, our bodies respond. It challenges our understanding of the world, and that's where an understanding of God comes in very handy. We know that there is hope for the future. However, living between now and that future, this is when we live with our pain. And this is the difficult bit.
And sometimes talking about that hope for the future isn't even helpful, because you're saying, I'm crying now.
That's right.
My emotions are raw now. I can't understand why. How do you get alongside both the children that are hurting and their parents? And we'll talk to a parent in a moment.
Yes, we make ourselves available. And as I said, our youth department is doing an amazing job to open the avenues of communication. They have meetings scheduled this week for young people who would like to share. Our elders are on standby. We've got the counselor, the pastors are available. Anybody who would like to engage with us. That it's more about listening. We're here to listen. And if you've got little to say, it's not a problem. It's okay. We cry together. We go through this period of time together.
And we're talking about the children in your church.
That's right.
What about this community? We've seen people passing by here all day today. What word would you have for the community in Wokingham and Reading and beyond?
I think the word that describes the best the attitude and the response from all churches is solidarity. We are here with you. We will go together through this. On this occasion, unfortunately, it struck here at the Holt School. Next time it's going to strike in a different part. But together, if we can talk to each other, if we can listen to each other, if we can support one another, I believe we can pull through. So solidarity is the word for me that applies in such circumstances.
Thank you, Pastor Marcel. And along with Pastor Marcel, we also have one of the parents of one of the pupils here at this school. I'd like to invite Daryl to join me for a moment.
Hi, Victor.
Not been an easy day for you.
Not been an easy weekend, yeah. This Sunday, when my daughter heard the news, she was quite distraught, of course, and we never saw her processing pain like this, and it just pained us all to recognize what happened. This time of her teen years, where it's a little bit hard to express, and it's possibly even very confusing for herself to think about what she's feeling. Like, it was one of her favorite teachers, actually.
Because he was a very relevant kind of teacher, history, politics, and putting it in a way that interacted with the teenagers that were under his care.
And he was not the kind of person that was only lecturing about things. He took social justice very seriously. His actions was where his mouth was as well.
So that, in a sense, is a real challenge for you as well, because you and your wife are there to support and comfort your children and the wider community that's equally hurting alongside of them. But you're also someone that's been active on social justice. You've been very involved over the years on supporting the refugee program and the difficulties fighting their side for them. And you're now in a situation where you're supporting your daughter, you're mourning for Mr. Furlong, and you have someone that's committed an atrocity in Britain that will be called by many, that's why we shouldn't let the refugees in.
That's right. It is a conundrum, but it is not a behavior of this person that then suddenly refocuses society's attention. It is the justice of humanity that we're fighting for. It is equity of different races, different cultural backgrounds, different economical statuses that ought to be respected. And this is definitely something that he was teaching in his classes, and he lived it, of course.
And of course, we live it as a church with ADRA. We've just had World Refugee Sabbath, the last Sabbath. Many of us have been hurting and listening and trying to understand better the George Floyd and all the fallout from that, and how we can make a difference. And maybe a tragic event like this just is the tipping point that focuses our minds very clearly, not just for our hope that Jesus will come again, which we're crying for it even more now, but to be that person that's listening, that provides the solidarity, the support in our church, in our communities right now.
That's right. One of the concepts that I've thought important to teach my kids is to stand up for those kinds of injustices and not just to be a bystander. And by doing so, by taking my daughter, for example, this morning, the flow of students that also wanted to share their sympathies to the family and to the school was quite heartwarming. I had a little tear in my eye. It pulls at your heart, and hopefully we keep that humanity in us. It is okay to hurt.
And maybe that tear in the eye is the thing for all of us to remember. We may have changed locations. Today's atrocity here in England. Tomorrow it'll be somewhere else. The week after, somewhere again, and we may not cry so much. And yet, it's actually us. It's humanity. We need to care. That's our privilege, the listening ear, the caring, the reaching out, the touching, the hugging.